Hi everyone, today I want to talk about the Join Luck Club. It's a 1993 movie about four Chinese moms in American and their American-born daughters. Its topic is cultural difference between different age groups. The movie shows four main cultural conflicts. First, moms should love is regularly, but daughters need clear words. Second, moms care more about family honor, while daughters want personal freedom. Third, Chinese moms think marriage is about helping each other. Fourth, moms want daughters to follow their plans, but daughters want to choose their own way. Those conflicts aren't good or bad, just from different cultures. The story centers on the Joy Luck Club, a small mahjong group. A key scene. Waverly's American friend is rude to her mom's cooking, causing a big fight. Another part. Jingmei goes to China after her mom's death. Finally, understanding her mom's love and her Chinese roots. In the end, all daughters listen to their moms, and the gap gets smaller. The lesson closing cultural exchange is about listening and respecting, not challenging your culture. Between the conflicts is love and the wish to connect. That's the true magic of the movie.
The film The Joy Club, Luck Club explores the deep-rooted communication conflicts between Chinese immigrant mothers and their American-born daughters. These clashes stem from fundamental differences in communication styles shaped by their respective cultural contexts. The mothers, influenced by high context Chinese culture, communicate indirectly through stories, hymns, and non-verbal cues to express care and expectations, often within a framework of hierarchical respect. In contrast, the daughters relies in a low-contact American society, prefer direct, explicit, and emotional direct. This mismatch lead to frequent misunderstandings, with daughters often practicing material concern as satires for control. Ultimately, differing norms in experiencing emotions and austerity future than their relationships, leaving both generations feeling alienated despite underlying love.
Today, I want to talk about the Zhongla Club and its take on cultural misunderstanding between Chinese mothers and their American parents. First, stereotypes hurt their relationships in American. People often see Chinese mother as strict or old-fashioned. For example, Su Yanwu pushes Jamie to play the piano. Jamie thinks it is control, no love. Little John criticizes her cooking, but her American son-in-law thinks she is blaming him. These moments show Chinese culture behaviors are easily misunderstood in the West. The daughters also stereotype their mother vividly is embarrassed when her mother shows off her chess skill. She calls it typically Chinese. Jamie feels ashamed when her mother brings in storms. The daughters want to be more American, so they pushed away their mother's culture. In the end, they feel like they don't fit in either culture. Second, language barriers make things worse. The mothers cannot fully explain their cultural values in English, the daughters refuse to learn Chinese. When mothers share life stories, daughters think the stories are old and useless. Language is not just for communication, it also creates emotion distance. Finally, the film shows the path to understanding. When Jamie goes to China, she gets a chance to reconnect with her roots. She does not choose one culture over the other. Instead, she accepts her mixed identity, with shared feeling and stories. The gap between mothers and daughters slowly narrows. Overall, the John Luck Club does not have a perfect happy ending, but it truly shows how complicated intercultural communication can be.
Hello, everyone. Next, I will share the two parts of culture shock and identity conflict in the arguments of the movie The Joy Luck Club. First, let's talk about the culture shock. In one family dinner scene in the film, we can clearly see the conflict between Chinese and American communication styles, which shows a typical American way of communicating. He is very direct from his point of view. His behavior is friendly, honest, and not meant to be rude. However, to Lindu, this directness feels impolite and even disrespectful. This misunderstanding is not about who is right or wrong. It happens because the cultural rules behind their behaviors are very different. Chinese culture value modest and table manners, while American culture focus more on personal expression and direct response. These small daily details created tension and show how cultural difference can strongly affect human interaction. Next is the identity conflict. Waverly feels torn between growing up in America and her mother's Chinese and her mother Chinese expectations. She wants to be herself, but she also wants her mother's approval. This struggle causes her stress and shows how people with two cultures often feel pulled between family duties and their own identity. Overall, this example shows that cultural difference not only change how we communicate, but also shape who we are. Thank you.
Now I will explain how we use two communication theory to understand the mother-daughter relationship in the Joy Luck Club. The two theories are co-culture theory by Ob and expectancy violation theory. First, co-culture theory helps us see how the immigrant mother behaves as a smaller cultural group living in a dominant American society. The theory says they choose different ways of speaking, such as being gentle, being direct, or pushing back, depending on what they want to achieve. Some others try to blend into American culture, others try to keep their Chinese culture, some do both.
In the film, Soo-young will often use story to guide Jun instead of giving direct order. For example, she tells Jun, "At my age, you have to be strong and seize every opportunity." She says this while they are in their home in San Francisco. It is her way to teaching without sounding strict. Lim Do-jung also used indirect talk when teaching Waverly. She tells her a great chess player must learn patience even when they think they know everything. This line teach Waverly more than just chess. It teach her about life. These examples show how the mother protect their culture while living in America. Next, we use expectancy violation theory, which explains how people react when someone breaks their expectation. This reaction can be positive or negative depending on their culture and relationship. In Waverly apartment, Waverly gets angry when her mother criticizes her. She says, "Why do you always want to control everything about me?" Her mother, Lindo, expects respect and obedience because of her Chinese upbringing. So she feels hurt when Waverly talks back. Another example is during a family gathering, when Soo-young tells Jun, "You must shoulder the responsibility of family legacy." Jun feels pressure because this idea clash with her American belief in independence. This moment show how mother come from a high context culture where communication is indirect, while the daughter grow up in a low context culture where communication is more direct. This difference creates misunderstanding and emotional conflict. Through both theories, we can understand why the mother and daughter talk and react the way they do. The cultural gap, the generation gap, and their expectation all shape their communication. These theories help us see the deeper reason behind their tension and how they slowly learn to understand each other.
Today, I want to talk about the Joe-like Club, a film that speaks in a quiet way, but stays with you for a long time. It is about cross-cultural relationships and the bond between mothers and doctors, and how love is often shown without words. The film does not use big argument sequences. Instead, it focused on small moments, the silence at the magic table, mothers walking around their kitchens, doctors stopping for a moment because they are unsure about their future. These moments may look simple, but they carry deep feelings. Because of this, cultural differences feel less like problems and more like something warm and home. That is why the misunderstandings in the film feel so real. They are not caused by a lack of love, but by too much love that is not well expressed. The pain comes from not know how to see what is already in the heart. Many of us may see this in our own families. Times when love is there, but never spoken. The film does simple some cultural ideas, like flame painting. In real life, it is not only about duty, but also about caring and feelings. As a lesson in cross-cultural communication, the Joe-like Club shows us that misunderstandings come from different memories, fears, and life experiences. A mother's silence may hide years of pain. A doctor's urge may be a way of asking for a pretense. In the end, the film does not say one culture is better than another. Chinese will bring family closeness and safety. American will use sports freedom and self-expressions. Both have strengths and limits. What this film guiltily tells us is that cultural differences are not the real problem. The real problem is how fast we want others to understand us and how slow we are to understand them. When we learn to listen with painting and care, a bridge can slowly form, one that both sides can walk across it. Thank you.